Member Pete Fink. We have Joy Curry, Chairman of our Planning Commission. Kindred Murillo, congratulations on the college, and thank you for coming down today as well. If I've missed anybody else that's elected or work with on a daily basis, I'm sorry. I also like to thank the woman who dressed me this morning, Francie, and I don't think the last time she came, I don't even remember the last time. Have you ever been to one of these? Yeah. Although I was originally a bit skeptical about having an annual State of the City speech, I now understand that this is an important part of the city's narrative. A moment in time to reflect on our successes and vision our future. In all my years on City Council, I have never witnessed such a transformational time as we're in right now. This renaissance cuts across all aspects of our city, its built environment as well as its natural environment, its economic health and vitality, its sustainability. I also see a rebirth of hope among our citizens and our employees. As a builder by trade, I'd like to start with a snapshot of the visible transformation we are seeing, the bricks and mortar, so to speak. Economic downturns are often very rapid. We've all heard of the stock market crash in 1929 and the almost immediate fall into the Great Depression. The start of our last recession in the fall of 2007 was equally dramatic. It was almost as if a switch was turned off and economic activity ceased. Banks immediately stopped lending, consumers immediately stopped buying. Economic recovery, on the other hand, is often slow, and ours was no exception. It has been one property at a time, be it a coat of paint or a complete remodel and demolition. It is also a time in which we witness some of our long-term visions come true. Unlike the early years of our redevelopment agency, where investment was primarily focused on the tourist core, as that was all we could afford, this current renaissance exists and extends from our airport to Stateline. This morning, I'd like to take a look not only at the larger, more publicized projects, but some of the smaller individual efforts as well. I'm also going to recognize projects that may have begun before this year or are planned in the near future, and I want to apologize in advance for anybody's property or any efforts that I have missed. So let's take a tour. Thank you for the graphics, Tracy. And I'd like to begin with our welcome sign and use this opportunity for a little unabashed self-promotion. This idea began when I was planning commissioner, and an example of what volunteerism can do. We were all given a project on the planning commission, and there was a choice of projects up there. And as a builder, it said welcome sign. So I said, I can build a welcome sign. And so it was so cool. I sat down and thought, and I said, I want something to look like the Lake Tahoe. And to this day, people say, some say it looks like a cow patty. Not everybody knows that's supposed to be a profile of Lake Tahoe. And so I said, maybe I'll shape it like that. And I was building a home out in Upway at the time, and an artist named Dan Jones was building artificial rocks and trees in this house. Incredible. So I got together with him. I said, do you think we could actually make a sign shaped like Lake Tahoe out of that? And he was, yeah, let's talk about it. And I just had the sign. He said he put a tree next to it so it could hold itself up. And I said, this is going to take money. So I started fundraising. And the people that came out were unbelievable. I'd get $20 from people I didn't know, and Bill Ledbetter, I think, gave me $10,000. It was a community-wide, this is cool. And it's probably the most rewarding project I've ever taken, and my family helped build that thing. My kids are up there raking pine cones. My employees worked for no pay to come up, help dig the ditches. Alpine Metals donated the I-beams. The rocks were donated by the concrete plant. My excavators helped dig the holes. It was truly a volunteer community effort, and I'm so proud when I see the people have that photo opportunity up there. And this is also a great segue into the tour of our recent developments, as we just installed a parking area up there. So enough with that. The airport has seen over $25 million invested from over the past years, with 90% of that funding coming from the federal government through the FAA. The city's subsidies have gradually declined from close to $2 million, I think, when we were financing the control tower, to about $350,000 presently. In part, this is due to our final payment on the hangars. But this is not only our airport, it's our city hall, and it probably will be for some time to come. While it may not be as important as some of our other city assets, it also serves as a gateway for our traveling public, be they by automobile or air. And I would like it to be something the community can take pride in. So I would like to ask my fellow council members to consider something. I'd like to remodel the foyer. I mean, not the whole building, just the foyer. I'd like it something with a mountain flair, a fireplace, woodwork, art, and make it welcoming. Perhaps after the first of the year, we can agendize this and explore the opportunities and possibilities. I don't expect something quite like this, but if I get your attention, that's all we're looking for. So leaving the airport, let's take a tour. Let's head down to the Y. TJ Maxx, everybody knows TJ Maxx. I see the bill come every month in the mail. The property owners and TJ Maxx have made significant investment on this project. It has created jobs, and probably more importantly, it helped keep a lot of shopping dollars local. The BevMo next to TJ Maxx was a building which has seen a variety of tenants over the years: AAA, the League to Save Lake Tahoe, a laundromat, and most recently, South Shore Bikes. It was demolished this summer, and a new building is under construction. This is another example of an investor's confidence in South Lake Tahoe's future. When South Shore Bikes needed to find a new location, they decided to invest in the community as well and build a beautiful new building and expanded their operations. Heck Hernandez and his family have a new home for South Shore Bikes, along with a new stand-up paddle business. They use local labor for the construction and provide new ongoing jobs for our community. Sonny's Barbecue is right down the street. I thought I'd mention him. It's a former home of Rockwater Grill, and Sonny owns Cassidy Coatings, a company I use a lot for waterproofing, but he's always had a passion for barbecue, and I'm really supportive and happy that he's decided to take a chance and open a restaurant. I tried to tell him that it's probably not the best thing you can do in this town, but he did it, and I encourage you to go down there, and don't forget, Sonny, tell Sonny that Hal sent you. I am a little corny. Continuing down Lake Tahoe Boulevard to the Midtown area. The Swiss Chalet, this is a true Tahoe icon. My early recollections of the Swiss Chalet, it was just a bakery, and we were living over in Strawberry. Big deal was to come over there and go to the bakery, and they had this one croissant that I just loved, and my parents would buy me one every time I was there. The Bauman family then owned and operated a restaurant, the Swiss Chalet, and they subsequently built a shopping center. And Kurt and Ruth Bauman were the essence of hospitality in this community. They made everybody who came there feel like they were at home. And whenever we had my mother's birthday or my parents' anniversary, any special event, we dressed up and went to the Swiss Chalet, and that was a big deal. And with the passing of first Kurt and then Ruth, the family has been struggling, trying to run a business with three brothers, and they finally sold the building, and it's going to be now the Coldwater Brewery. Debbie Brown is the new owner, and Debbie and her family have invested in a complete renovation of the building. Beer will be brewed on site, and the grand opening is just a few days away. Blue Dog Pizza is right across the street from the Coldwater Brewery. It's expanded from its location in Raley's. It then opened in Midtown location in Sierra Boulevard about a year ago. They started actually in the bowling alley. I didn't mention that. A local small business owner, Mercedes Brand, started this business, and we wish her the utmost success. It is often said everybody likes progress and no one likes change. I just reminisced a little bit about the Swiss Chalet, and it was a Tahoe icon. But the Springmeyer Garage to me is probably one of the most iconic figures. When I was a kid, this was where my father bought his first cars, new International Scout. This is where we got our gas. This is where we got our car repaired. This is where Margie and Buzz Springmeyer started and raised a family. And digress a minute, I visited Margie Springmeyer's daughter Bonnie the other day, and she said she and her family came up here and took pictures of the demolition and took pictures down to Margie, who is in bed, and it was a very sad moment for their family, and I can understand that. But this building for the past 10 years is really sat idle. It's had no improvements, really no tenants. There's no parking. There's no capture the runoff, all the myriad of things that we're looking for in our town. So the net result is a new source of revenue for the city, new jobs, new streetscape, and water and quality improvements. And although some people may say, do we really need a new AutoZone? Do we really need BevMo? It's like they said, do we really need Office Depot? Do we really need Staples? being business friendly means we don't tell people what they do. They won't tell people where they invest their money. We say, if you want to invest money, if you would do something, we're here to help. So I wish these businesses luck, and I think the community is better served by having a better view as we come down the highway. Continuing further down Lake Tahoe Boulevard, we're going to take a brief detour, and we're going to take a right turn on Al Tahoe Boulevard, heading north to the college. And congratulations to all those who helped the college get its first ever bond passed. It's anticipated that nearly $60 million will be invested over the next few years, with hopes of having a 4-year program. This investment will create jobs, expand educational opportunities, and help sustain the college for years to come. Also coming down the way on Al Tahoe Boulevard is the Lake Tahoe Wildlife Center's relocation on 27 acres. It is a 10,500 square foot building that will include a caretaker's residence, a hospital and surgery area, a public area for the animals to be dropped off, intern quarters who will come up here to help work once in a while, a boardroom, and separately there are going to be 12 rehabilitation cages that will allow the animals to recuperate with more space and more privacy. Getting back on the Lake Tahoe Boulevard, Highway 50, and just past Al Tahoe, we come to the long-awaited Harrison Avenue project. Nearly 20 years after the project was identified in the Bijou Al Tahoe Community Plan, the Harrison Avenue Streetscape Improvement Project began this May. The completion of this project has addressed several citywide strategic objectives. I do believe that the overwhelming success of Lakeview Commons was the ultimate impetus to make the Harrison Avenue improvements a reality. This project was made possible through a partnership between the property owners, state and federal agencies, and the city. And we are already seeing further investment by the property owners themselves. There's a new sense of pride in that neighborhood. And I want to thank John Cefalu for his beautiful remodel of his property at the corner of Tallac and Harrison. And I always believe one person puts a coat of paint on, the next guy fixes his yard. It's just, there's a domino effect, and I think we're starting to see that up and down our town. The Harrison Avenue project, there was nearly $6 million spent in construction costs. It increased the area of parking from 155 to 230 spaces. There's 160,000 square feet of roadway rehabilitation. There's over 8,000 linear feet of new curb and gutter. There's over 12,000 square feet of new bike paths. And a new stormwater system that provides a 77% increase in capturing sediment before it reaches the lake has been installed. And that saves about 5,000 pounds of sediment every year going into the lake. There's also high-efficiency LED street lighting and pathway lighting. And heading east, just down the road a little bit, is Champions Plaza, and this is really cool. In the original plans, this was just to be a landscaped area where the sidewalk met the Lakeview Drive intersection. The idea for Champions Plaza was born from the success of our local Golden Girls in the Sochi Olympics. And I must say, of all the events I've ever seen in this city, that parade was over the top. I think everyone in town was lining our streets. It just shows what community pride can do, and watching those gals on TV and showing pictures of them here at home at Tahoe, I mean, it just sent chills up my back. So after that, we recognized an opportunity to honor our local athletes. The concept was suggested, our council approved, Harrison Avenue amended its contract, and faster than most projects in town are even permitted, it was built. We have also anticipated adding public art as well as plaques honoring past, present, and future local champions in a Hollywood-style walk of fame. East of Lakeview Commons is a project just completed by the CTC. It's part of a program to acquire aging developed properties on sensitive land and transferring those development rights to our town centers. This summer, the California Tahoe Conservancy purchased and demolished the former Altamira building. As you can see in the slides, the transformation is dramatic. And as I always said, this portion where El Dorado Beach is down to Altamira, this is the first and only opportunity that our visitors traveling here from the Bay Area have to view the lake. And now that view of the lake is pretty much unimpeded from Lakeview Commons all the way down to where Tackle Drive intersects it. The CTC is also going to acquire, and in process of acquiring, I think they've acquired, they just haven't demolished them yet, 3 other buildings. The smoke shop, and if you know the smoke shop down near Ken's Tire Center, and the Southway Lodge and Highway 89. And can we go back to the psychic This is a palm reader psychic, and that's just rumor, but I heard that she was shocked when she found out her lease was being terminated. She said, I never saw this coming. I apologize. I don't write speeches, and I don't write jokes very well either. Anyway, a little further down the road is the Bijou Erosion Control Project. This was an $18 million investment. I wish. And an impressive example of what area-wide BMP engineering can do. The Bijou Area Erosion Control Project is an underground stormwater system. The previous 50-year-old failing Bijou Creek storm drain system, which extended from the Bijou Meadow, under Fairway Drive, under U.S. Highway 50, under and through the Bijou Commercial Core and into the Lake Tahoe, has been completely replaced. The updated system will allow the Bijou Creek to still flow into Lake Tahoe, while separately treating all the stormwater runoff from 42 acres, which is the CVS parking lot, the motels across the street. And this is preventing about 21,000 pounds of sediment particles from reaching Lake Tahoe each year. And I commented when this first started, I remember as a young boy walking down, there was a culvert pipe there. And often when rains or anything would occur, I'd see the water dripping out of that pipe, and it was filthy. And even then I said, there's something wrong here. And it takes a long time to get these projects in the ground, but slowly but surely, we're getting most of the pollution that goes in the lake captured and trying to treat it as much as possible. Heading towards Stateline, we stop at Ski Run Boulevard. We take a look at some of the recent renovations at the Ski Run Marina. Owner Ellie Mansour has installed public art for the community, and after years of working on a solution for parking, new improvements have been constructed. Brian and Angela Luke have also opened their second Artemis restaurant at the Ski Run Marina, and it's open for breakfast. I recommend that as well. It's really cool that they're local people starting a restaurant. Across the street is what we refer to as a southwest corner, a piece of property that was originally intended for Embassy Vacation Resorts to expand. That never happened. The Redevelopment Agency took the land back, sold it to the city, and right now we have 3 interested developers, and we're trying to incentivize the development of a mixed retail residential use with design elements similar to what we did at Stateline. And also, as we're heading east, there's 2 other properties that the City Redevelopment Agency owns. It's next to the Fantasy Inn. These 2 lots are for sale, and there's already commercial property investors interested in them as well. Heading east, we enter the tourist core area near Stateline, and we first come across the Highland Inn. I don't know if many of you know, but the owners are undertaking a major remodel, adding a new restaurant and improvements throughout. Next, we'll come to the shops at the Chateau. Beautiful project. First phase is complete with $15 million invested by the owner, Bill Owens. The before and after slides are dramatic. And as all I can say is it's been a long time coming. I'd like to say and announce that planning has also begun for the second phase, continuing construction and streetscape improvements down to the crosswalk at Friday Avenue. In the Heavenly Village, Gary Castile, owner of the commercial real estate property, reports they have had an unprecedented sales in 2014 and expect a great 2015. New summer activities keep the village lively, and 3 new restaurants provide new options: the Base Camp Pizza, Azul Latin Kitchen, and the Gun Barrel Restaurant. And I know friends and family members have gone down to the Gun Barrel Restaurant and said it's just a gas. So it's great to see that this is not only a tourist-driven village, it's a place where our locals are starting to find that there's a lot of fun to be had down there. Our tour is now at the city limits, the Stateline, and not to be lost in what is happening next door. The Stateline is becoming more blurred as our tourist core area grows and improves. The investment planned in the Stateline area is unprecedented, estimated to be over $200 million between now and 2016. And that investment does create jobs, and it does draw more people to this town, and that does benefit every one of us. The Mont Bleu is going to spend about $24 million in a restoration. The Hard Rock Hotel is going to spend about $60 million, and they're due to open on New Year's Eve on a limited basis, and I understand they're already taking reservations. The Edgewood, with over $100 million in investment, including a new lodge and a hotel. Well, that completes our driving tour. And next, I'd like to turn to something close to everyone's heart, and that's recreation. And I may be preaching to the choir when I say this, but recreation is our key economic driver. The city and El Dorado County have joined forces to create a new Parks, Trails, and Recreation Master Plan. This plan identifies the community needs and creates strategies for improving recreation opportunities for residents and visitors. We envision an accessible, interconnected, and sustainable system of diverse year-round recreation opportunities. Our world-class parks, facilities, trails, and programs attract recreation enthusiasts from all over the world. They shape our community, they connect us to our natural environment, and they support our shared vision for the South Shore. Implementation will require an initial investment, and the city is prepared to take the lead, and we've already begun by directing funds towards this effort. Our leading recreation partners, including Sierra Tahoe and Heavenly, provide outstanding winter recreation. And now Heavenly is into the summer activities as well. This past year, Heavenly reopened the Blue Streak zip line, opened and installed 2 challenge ropes courses and a canopy tour. They are currently in the final planning stages for the Epic Discovery Park. This is going to have an alpine coaster, 3 additional canopy tours, a guided jeep tour, a manned forest lookout, a mountain bike park, and connector trails with the Rim Trail and the Van Sickle Park. Moving on, this past September, we celebrated the completion of 2.6 miles of rehabilitated bike trails within the city of South Lake Tahoe. Construction began on the Class 1 Bike Trail Rehabilitation Project in mid-July. Bike paths within the city have been pulverized and repaved. Restoration of the bridges at Trout Creek and Upper Truckee Meadow occurred. This project was made possible through a grant from Caltrans and Measure R funding. And I want to thank Joanne Connor for helping make this happen with her active participation in the Recreation JPA. 56-acre project. This is still one of our diamonds in the rough, and it deserves our focused attention in the years to come. The millions of dollars invested into planning need to move from the shelf to implementation, as identified in our Recreation Master Plan. The city has stepped up by buying land next to there to relocate our public works yard out of this area and into the industrial area where it belongs. Passage of Measure F will also help recreation through field enhancements, including bleachers, cross-country ski tracks, improved field lighting, and the continuation and expansion of their recreation-oriented classes. We're building a new BMX Bike Park, and through a partnership with the Bijou Bike Park Association, a nonprofit whose members have proven success in building, maintaining, and operating mountain bike and BMX facilities, this group has designed a 4-acre bike park to include riding features for all ages and abilities, including a kids' skill zone, a pump track, competition-level BMX track, and progressive park features for learning and improving mountain bike skills. This bike park will be yet another attraction for our recreation-oriented visitor. We're not just building recreation facilities, but we're improving recreation activities as well. We celebrated our 3rd year of free concerts this past summer, and the music will continue. The Lakeview Commons Beachside Movie Night proved to be wildly successful on the last weekend before the kids went back to school this fall, and we plan on having several more family-friendly movies this summer. The city will also be creating a new tradition this summer with the Lakeside Historical Fireside Chats at Lakeview Commons. We have a speaker series sharing historical stories about our community. And in just a few weeks, it's Light Up Lake Tahoe. On December 6th, we will be celebrating our 3rd annual Light Up Lake Tahoe event, and businesses along Highway 50 will turn on their holiday lights as the fire department, the police department, and snowplow are decorated with holiday lights in a procession to the Y with the annual tree lighting, along with a visit by Santa Claus with photo opportunities for the kids. Well, of everything I have spoken about, the community investment, the public-private partnerships, investing in recreation, none of that can happen without a solid financial footing. And unquestionably, the most transformational change this year was in our financial future, a facet of our city which is often least noticed, least understood, or appreciated. While we have been investing in our infrastructure, and as important as the aforementioned projects are, the city needed to face the realities of our financial future. A city needs a strong financial footing in order to have the resources for community investment. We needed to address the exponential rise in healthcare costs and the associated debt hanging over our heads from unfunded pension and healthcare liabilities. If we didn't address these, if we didn't attack them head on, we too could be facing bankruptcy like many other cities in California. Although we have no control over the state retirement program, as reform in the current pension liabilities will require state legislative action. And some cities have actually been challenged that present mandate in court, and they've had some success. However, we do have control over our health insurance costs. It's often said you can't have anyone over for dinner until you put your house in order. This resonates so strongly in our city. Getting our house in order is not just making the view from the street look better, it's getting our financial house in order as well. It's what the community and the citizens expect of their government. And it would have been easy to kick the can down the road a little further, let the next council deal with it, but we had reached a tipping point. Our previous efforts to curtail payroll costs, be they layoffs, using reserves, or refinancing debt, were not going to stem the unprecedented rise in health insurance costs. Instead, we asked our employees to do something unique in public service, to put the well-being of their city ahead of their personal gain. And with much angst, tense and arduous negotiations, and with the unequivocal support of my colleagues, an agreement was reached unlike any other in the state. As I said earlier, everyone wants progress, but no one wants change. But the reality was, no progress will ever be made without change. And when your family is affected, the change can be dramatic. When your paycheck is affected, the change is personal. We understood that. In 2012, our unfunded liability was $47 million. That is what we would have been required to set aside to cover health care expenses for employees and retirees if no changes were made. That translates to essentially $10,000 for each full-time residential household living in our city. And that's just for health care. Rather than raising taxes, selling bonds, increasing sales taxes, or file bankruptcy, as other cities have done, to address their unfunded liabilities, we asked the employees of this organization to invest in the city's future, to partner with us going forward. And just a few weeks ago, the City Council approved labor agreements with all 6 bargaining units that will reduce the city's unfunded liability even further than before. We estimate that as a result of all the changes over the past 3 years, we will have reduced our health care liability by about $36 million. This is unique. California cities never reduce unfunded liabilities. And yet, although it is unique, it is exactly what the citizens expect. They want and expect their government to tackle the big problems, to spend their tax dollars wisely, to manage resources, and invest in the community. We are doing just that. And in all my years as a council member, the restructuring of our finances over the past 3 years has been the most transformative change I have ever witnessed or been part of. It may not be as visible as the projects I have discussed, but the transformation of the city's finances will have just as big an impact on our town as the projects that are visible as you drive by. We are poised now for a renewed effort to reinvest in our town. Our books are balanced, and through the efforts of budgeting and refinancing our loans, our debt is getting reduced. We could not have done this without our employees' commitment to investing in their organization, without the tenacity and passion of our city manager and her negotiating team, without the direction of our citizens to put our house in order, or without the steadfast support of our city council. And a huge thank to every one of you for standing together through this very difficult task. I also want to thank Councilmember Lane for her dedicated help for the past few years on the Finance Committee. And there's nothing like a banker looking over your shoulder when you're viewing balance statements. So let's look at the future. We've taken a look at the past. We've taken a look at the present. We've talked about our finances. It's time to look at our future. Over 15 years has culminated in the adoption of the Tahoe Valley Area Plan this coming year. There are already capital investors inquiring, and there are some properties in escrow as we speak. Unlike the early years of RDA, where investment was primarily focused on the tourist core, the current renaissance is not missing any part of our town. With the creation of the hospital district as a component of the area plan, the hospital is positioning itself to take advantage of those development incentives and looking at expansion and renovation of its facilities. And I want to emphasize, we are so fortunate to have a hospital of this size and scope in our little town. I also want to mention with the relocation of the Lake Tahoe Wildlife Care to Al Tahoe Boulevard, breaking ground this spring, our community will have a world-class wildlife rehabilitation center. 2015 is the city's 50th birthday, and the city will be celebrating throughout 2015. Residents, former residents, fans, friends, neighbors, and general lovers of this unique place are invited to celebrate with us throughout the year. We will be soliciting and sharing historical stories from people who have lived here over the past 50 years. And each month, we will hold a special event, hold open houses, a summer celebration, and a grand birthday party on our true anniversary on November in 2015. But not to be lost in this conversation about the future are the challenges we still face. The fact is, too many of our residents are living at near or at the poverty level. Too many are living in motel rooms never intended for permanent occupancy. Too many are unemployed or underemployed. Too many rely on the city's walkways for just getting to and from work. And although the city is not equipped to offer many social services, we are cognizant of this problem and incorporate many features into our projects with those residents in mind. We need to improve transportation in our community. It is the key to environmental improvements as well, and can be an important need for many of our community members. And I want to thank Councilmember Swanson for her years of service on the Tahoe Transportation District, her efforts to obtain funding, and her work toward improving our transportation system. Thanks, Angela. Another aspect of transportation is alternate modes, which include bicycling. Continuing the process of building, maintaining, and repairing our bicycle pedestrian pathways is important to our future. Another challenge is pedestrian lighting. The lighting of areas heavily used by pedestrians is now incorporated in many of our projects. The lighting of Pioneer Trail from Highway 50 West has made a big improvement for the safety of those commuting to and from work after dark. As a kid, when I used to work at Harrah's as a busboy, even though I had a license and I drove, I saw so many people walking in the dark there. It's amazing more people didn't get hit. And also we're lighting Harrison Avenue, and it's increased the walking and biking opportunities for our community members. And I would like to thank Councilmember Tom Davis, your constant advocacy for lighting streets and walkways. It's paid dividends. Another challenge is affordable housing for low-income community members. Too many are living in motels which are not designed for permanent housing. I am on a subcommittee that is in the process of drafting a new ordinance that we plan to bring before this council in just a few months. It will require compliance with our tourist accommodation codes if they're going to operate as a motel, including collecting TOT. Or it will require significant building improvements if they plan to provide long-term housing. Employment. South Lake Tahoe's unemployment has declined from a high of over 17% in the recession to 8% in September. This is lower than our 10-year historical average of 11%. However, we need higher wage jobs. Jobs don't come out of thin air. They require capital investment, and investors seek a business-friendly environment. It is very time-consuming to construct in Lake Tahoe. The city is trying to assist developers by a new one-stop shop in the permit center and being business-friendly. It is also very expensive to build in Lake Tahoe. Development fees, particularly those from the environmental agencies in our sewer district, are a big impediment to construction and slow economic recovery. The city is trying to improve this situation through the adoption of the Tahoe Valley Area Plan. It will allow most projects to be handled over the counter at the city without separate TRPA submittals. An absolute challenge to development and slowing environmental redevelopment are the commodities such as commercial floor area, tourist accommodation units, land coverage. The commodities issue has stifled many potential projects that could have provided great environmental benefit. It's really hard to explain. Somebody come to this town, they see an acre lot, and they say, I'd like to build a little shopping center with a restaurant. What do I need to get a permit? Oh, wait a minute. First of all, that lot allows 30% land coverage. You're going to have to buy land coverage if you want to cover enough for a parking lot. Oh, wait a minute. You want to put a commercial building here? You need commercial floor area. You're going to have to go pay $30 a square foot just to put down a commercial building. This is not working. The TRPA and local agencies right now are working together to resolve this issue. We need to be able to convert one to the other. In 1987, when the TRPA was formed, they created a moment in time. This is how many tourist accommodation motel rooms you have. This is how much commercial floor area you have. If you want to change it, it has to be done through a process of updating your community plans, redevelopment plans. It just doesn't work. Central planning has never worked. I never believed in it, but it's what we're working with now. Our city is not equipped or funded to provide many of the social services needed by our community, and I would be remiss if I didn't recognize at least some of the many local nonprofit agencies we're blessed with. There's just a few. We have the Women's Center, the Sierra Recovery Center, the Tahoe Area Coordinating Council for the Disabled, Tahoe Youth and Family Services, the Boys and Girls Club, Family Resource Center, CASA. The list goes on. And I really encourage the residents to support them as much as possible, be it a fundraiser, be it attending their events. Our community would not be what it is without this group, these organizations. If I were to summarize the state of our city, it would be we are poised for success. As I enter my final years on your city council, I often reflect on how far we have come since my first election in 1994. I often wonder what our town would look like if we hadn't gone all in when we decided to redevelop the Stateline Tourist Center. Yes, it was arduous. Yes, it was expensive. Can we go back to the before shot, Tracy? A picture is worth 1,000 words. What's that look like today? We have a picture from the street. I think we do. But although myself and Council Member Davis were immersed in this project for several years, as evidenced by our gray hair or lack thereof, it is still shocking to see this transformation. We've matured. We've had incredible successes. We've learned from our mistakes. We are truly a stronger, more transparent city government, and this past year has set our city on a course for unlimited possibilities. I look forward to a continued reinvestment in our community and its infrastructure with the associated attention to improving the clarity of our lake. I look forward to celebrating our city's upcoming 50th anniversary. I look forward to bringing the community and our visitors more signature events. I look forward to creating and providing an often used moniker, a world-class recreation destination. I look forward to future partnership, where neighborhoods work together like Ski Run did, where businesses work together like the Tourist Improvement District did, where employees partner with their employers as our employees did, where property owners work together with government to better the environment as we saw at Harrison Avenue at Bijou, where neighbor helps neighbor like our many nonprofits do. Let's build a welcome sign. This one won't be the side of the highway. This will be our city. Let's light up the lake on December 6th. And if we work together, the possibilities are endless. Thank you for your time, for investing your energy, your resources, and teamwork, and for your support of our community. Let's take a break. There is food, and I got into this suit after 20 years, so I'm not going to imbibe, but there are donuts and all kinds of stuff back there, so 10 minutes.